Joined now today by Alex Newman, our international correspondent. Alex, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks so much for having me, Duke. It's always a pleasure.
Well, there is no limit, is there, to what technocrats and globalists, how they will try to become opportunistic with crises, right? Rahm Emanuel's old statement that never let a crisis go to waste. And so one really unexamined aspect of the quarantine of public school kids, sending everybody home, is what we call, believe it or not, post-human education. This is a really shocking concept, Alex. Talk about post-human education. What is it, and how are the globalists using coronavirus to push for it?
Yeah, thank you, Duke. This is going to be, I think, the next big wave in the education system, if we want to call this monstrosity an education system. And, to our credit, not to toot our own horn too much, but we've been some of the few who've been talking about this. Now it's kind of coming out into the open. The U.S. Department of Education is writing regulations to facilitate this. They're opening up the funding streams to make it happen. The World Economic Forum is bragging about it. And so what they want to do is gradually sideline teachers and replace those teachers with computer programs and algorithms and artificial intelligence and feedback loops and mechanisms. And I think the thinking is, Duke, that as long as you have the teachers there, that's a big obstacle, because the teachers come to the table with their own set of values. A lot of them don't want to teach kindergarteners that they can, surgically mutilate themselves and become a new gender, or that socialism is good. So they keep running into this barrier, but they want to sideline teachers. And it really goes back to B.F. Skinner, the behavioral psychologist, who really viewed children as kind of like circus animals, biological stimulus response mechanisms that could just be trained through repetition, positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, and they figure they'll be able to do that much more successfully with computers, and they're taking full advantage of this coronavirus pandemic to move us in that direction very, very quickly.
Yeah, you and I, like you said, have been talking about this for 10 years. This goes to some of the earliest Common Core talks I gave in 2011, 2012. We were telling teachers this, right? And they looked at me like I was crazy. Oh, you're exaggerating. This is where I think the rubber meets the road for teachers. We have had a darn hard time getting teachers to actually fight back. I've said this from the beginning. If teachers are willing to walk out on their kids in the middle of a semester, leaving them high and dry, red for ed, to get pay raises in places like California or Arizona or Colorado, then why have they not been willing over the last 10, 20 years to actually walk out and protest this automation of what they do, turning them into facilitators, taking away from teachers freedom to pick books, the ability to teach in a certain way, regulating them? But the teachers have been utterly and completely subservient. It seems to me that this now is something that teachers better wake up about. They didn't implement Common Core to help you. They didn't implement all this top-down standards to make you have a better life, teachers. They did it so they could ultimately move to phase 2, which is to get rid of you.
That's right. And, I think a big part of the blame falls right on the labor unions. The labor unions are great at stirring up the teachers to be all mad about, pay raises or this and that. But when it comes to actually benefiting the children and maintaining that teacher-child relationship and giving academic freedom and ensuring that teachers are allowed to do what they know is best, the unions are nowhere to be found. So it's really disappointing. And when teachers do resist, they're often fired. We actually wrote about Jennifer McWilliams, a teacher in Indiana, who resisted this red for ed hysteria, who resisted the social emotional learning, posted some criticism up on Facebook, and then was promptly fired after being informed that she was a right-wing extremist from the administration at the school. So, teachers are going to have to fight back here if they truly value their profession, if they truly value the well-being of their children. But, what's happened here is they've kind of got the union bosses on board, and they're saying, oh, don't worry, we're not going to fire the teachers. They'll still be there. They're just going to be facilitators. And actually, the way the World Economic Organization, one of the experts, or the World Economic Forum, one of the experts that they quoted, that they're going to be co-creators of knowledge with the children. They're not just going to be imparting knowledge. They're going to be co-creators of knowledge, which is just another way of saying they're not going to be teachers anymore. And this is very, very crazy stuff. It's very totalitarian, and I think it's going to facilitate indoctrination on a level that we've never seen before. Because again, you've always had those teachers there who at least put a limit on how far they could go. Now, if they can get all the kids just staring at their computer, getting their positive and negative reinforcement, it's going to change the game.